Okay. It says it's streaming. All right, we're live again. There we go. Finally worked. Hi, YouTube. Welcome back. Yes, I did see Mike Danilov's article about Lambda Under the Hood, and I actually think it was based on a talk. I'm not sure he wrote for InfoQ. Is AppRunner any good? AppRunner is great. I like AppRunner. Switch to AV1 encoding. I will have to look at that after the stream. It seems to be working fine now. My bit rate was goofed up, and Twitch is still complaining about it. But that's fine. Okay, it is working. It says excellent connection. Okay. I have fiber. I have symmetric fiber. It should be okay. Did this deploy yet? Oh, shoot. Did it finish? Did it work? It did! Holy guacamole. Oh, wow. 1 second. I forgot what I set my password to. Hold on. Whoa. Sweet! It does work. Nice work, Rehan. This is sick. All right. We've got a little analytics app running. That's great. That worked. And it's got a little cert. Look at that. We did it. Thanks for the help, Regalius. I want to go back to serverless is a lie. Cold starts are a buzzkill. Yes, you can, I don't know, you can do stuff about it. There is not a world you live in where you won't have to learn a little bit about what you're working on to have the best experience. That's just the reality. So learn a little. Like this information's out there. I think everyone in chat knows this, and probably people watching on YouTube know this, but like there are things you can do to minimize cold starts. There's a lot you can do to prevent that from being painful, and you don't, if you absolutely have to have the lowest latency, you don't have to use Lambda. And you can still use serverless stuff and not use Lambda specifically. You can still pay per use, and let's get onto this. The pay per use model can get spendy. No upfront costs, only pay what you use. They do add up fast, for sure. That's not really the point, though. The whole value of serverless is the one person can do a bunch of stuff on their own without having to run a bunch of services, in the long term on their own, right? Like you don't have to update anything. You don't have to own the operating system. That's the whole value. So yeah, it's like priced a little bit more, but it can still be very, very cheap when you consider what they would say like the total cost of ownership, which I do think that part is a little bit of a misnomer, a little bit of a myth, but I still see a huge amount of value there. But yeah, it does add up. But at least like, as long as your costs are related to your revenue that you're bringing in, right? As long as at some point those Lambda bills are customers using your application and paying you for it, that should be okay, because you're going to make that even out at the end, right? Like you're going to make more money on a per request or per use basis. So it should be fine. And there, yeah, of course, there's ways to get better unit economics out of this. But I do think if your whole point of engineering, like all you ever do at work is reducing costs of your application, that's a scary place to be, because it basically just means like you're going to run out of ideas and run out of product. And at some point someone's going to eat your margin and you're not building anything new and innovative. The marginal value of everything we do in software goes to zero with time, because it's an idea, right? Like we've seen this before with Twitch and Mixer and all these other streaming platforms that came out, or with, the streaming wars with Netflix or Hulu or HBO or whatever. Once one company figures out that, oh, you can do this thing on the internet, or you can do this thing with technology, everybody else knows that. And at some point it's a race. So one of the hard things and the beautiful things about being a software developer is that you are in this foot race constantly. Even if we had patents that were popular, which they aren't so much, they're just ideas at a certain point, and anybody else can re-implement them or tweak them or find some different application. And the value you bring to an organization as a developer is your ability to think critically about the problem and apply new concepts and new ideas, and fundamentally like get more people to buy your software. But I think that's the fun part. Like I like that part, and I realize that can be stressful, but it's a myth, and it's never existed that you have like one idea and you just like coast on it forever. That's not the reality. So I don't worry too much about this criticism, although it's true. Like it's objectively true that it can get spendy. But everything can get spendy. I mean, you wouldn't believe what we spend on EC2 instances in other places, right? Yeah, Hack and Soul, you're right. The interesting part of serverless is that every decision is a purchase decision. So even as a developer, you have to think about how much each decision is going to cost. This is actually happening all over. What's missing from the discourse in the serverless side, I think we talk about it a lot because every decision is a purchasing decision. But on the like traditional, I don't know what you would call it, containers or Kubernetes or traditional web server side, there's a lot of discussion about that, like tons. We have entire groups of people in our compute team that are like, their whole purpose is to, I shouldn't say their whole purpose. The purpose of the team, the mandate of the team is to identify various instance types that we could use that would improve our costs and our value. And that works at our scale. Because we're going to have certain applications that are going to be more disk dependent, more RAM dependent, more CPU dependent, or more network dependent. And that's when this works. But it's true, like in Lambda, or in serverless, you kind of have to do this all up front. And I think it's a good thing. Like moving the cost decision to the developers, they actually know what they're spending is an important thing to do. And it's shocking to me, like looking back, that we never did that. Like for the longest time, people didn't do that. Simplicity. Okay. The allure of serverless is the promise of simplicity. You write a tiny function, hook it up to an event, and magic. Yeah, sort of. The moment you need anything vaguely resembling real-world application logic. Okay, this sounds like somebody that was like, Lambda's great, I'm gonna go and run a big inference job in Lambda, and then was like really mad when they didn't have a 500 gigabyte disk they could just use. Like, this one, when it says real-world application logic, I'm very curious. I want to, like, what's the trauma here? What's the trauma here? What do they do? What question did they post on Stack Overflow and someone yelled at them, someone flamed them on the internet? And what happened? Because this is true. Yeah, IAM is the worst. I saw that post from Matt Duggan. This is the Google Cloud Run, or the Google Cloud comparison is wild, truly. That simple function morphs into a distributed system. Okay, look, here's the thing. Yes, this is actually also objectively true. The second you deploy anything to serverless, it's a distributed system. You have to think about idempotency. You have to think about data races. You have to think about, two users modifying the same bit at the same time. But the reality is that after even a tiny, like Ruby on Rails app or Django app gets popular, you also have a distributed system. And the first thing you're going to do, and I can tell you because I've done it, like the first thing you're going to do is replicate your database, and you'll do leader follower replication. So you'll have one primary database instance, and then you'll have all these replicas, and they'll just read off that log from the main database and replicate it. And there you go. Now you've solved your read traffic problem. But then you're going to have a write traffic problem. You're going to be writing too much to one table, and you're going to have table lock contention, and you're going to start, you're going to have transactions roll back, or just massive throughput drops when a hot table or a hot record is being accessed. And then you have to start thinking about something like Vitess or PlanetScale, where you have to shard your primary or your write database, or you have to think about moving out those like hotkeys. So either you have to, split by customer, which doesn't always work because eventually a customer gets big enough and you have a hotkey for a customer, and then you have to figure out how to split that up, right? How to shard that fully, and so on and so forth. So at least, like, this seems like a criticism of just building software for the internet and not Lambda or serverless, because that's what it is. This is what it will be. It's inevitable. And congratulations. Like if you get to this part, you've probably got a successful product or business or idea, right? If you're scaling your database or you're dealing with this type of thing, or you just have unfortunately a challenging design you should have gone for. I still use AWS with a healthy dose of skepticism. Yeah, I mean, there's some real points in here, but I think they're just it's like misguided criticisms. They're talking about painful things that they just didn't like, when in reality, this is what the job is. This is just what it is. And serverless is a way of thinking, like serverless inside of AWS is a way of thinking about it. And I think it encapsulates the challenges and the problems that you have to deal with really well. But it doesn't change the fact that these are distributed systems problems, and you should learn a little bit about that and why it's hard, and how we tackle them, because once you've done that, you're going to see those design characteristics emerge in the software tools you're using, and it'll make a lot more sense of why things are done in the way they are. All right, Hack and Soul, what is this imager link? Oh no. Who got a 503 going to Euro 2024? Len. Oh, this is great. That is funny. We can't connect to this app or the server at this time. Bummer. That's too bad. My wife and I are expecting our first baby in July, and that's really exciting. I'm thrilled. I can't wait. And that's a big part of why I haven't been on Twitch in a while. But we are trying to pick out a baby name, and there's this baby name app she sent me, and I clicked the registration link, and it threw an error from a Lambda function. It was like I could see the Lambda handler, like the runtime in the stack trace that it exported, and it just really made me laugh. I was like, and I hope they're using Datadog. Oh, thanks, Regalius. Yeah, we're super thrilled. Couldn't be more happy. July, yeah, end of July. I don't know, maybe I'll stream at 2 in the morning when I'm up with the baby. All right, so serverless isn't a lie, but you do have to learn a few things, I think, is the TLDR. And also, things you learn are applicable to more than just AWS and serverless, right? They're distributed systems concepts. So I don't, like, this whole criticism is just complaining about having to learn things about the cloud, or not just the cloud, but just the reality of building distributed systems. If you want to, ship your Ruby on Rails app with SQLite, you still can, and that will work up to a point, and that's great. And then go and do that. There's no reason not to. Thanks, Hack and Soul. This is cool. I'm stoked we got this working. I want to, there is okay, so this is stood up. This is working now. I got a bunch of DMs from probably you folks. I want to get some data in here. How do they do this? They talk about this here. Boom, boom, boom. This is cool. Okay. Oh, I can just, okay, so I can load some JavaScript in my, oh, I don't have it. Okay. So I don't have an app on serverlessperformance.com. I created an Amplify app for the emoji thrower, which I used for my talks last year, but I don't think I have one anymore. So I don't know if that's the right way. Is there like a tracking GIF I can use or something? Oh, they have beacon pixel tracking. Okay, so I bet you I can just load this. There's got to be some like 1x1 GIF or something in here that they load. What do they call it? Beacon? Oh, here we go. Okay. So let's see if we can just, oh, that's the demo. Okay, we're back here. Okay. So it's serverlessperformance.com/API/ingest. And event equal foo. Can I not? Oh. What's the full, is it demo? There we go. Okay. Okay, there we go. We loaded our little beacon. We definitely had a cold start. Okay. So we should see some data roll in here in a second. Oh, this is an event. Unless, did this get blocked? Does like Firefox? Oh no, there's the pixel. I can see it. You can just see the little one right there. Just whoop. There it is, everybody. That's neat. So you can use that for like an email or something. Yeah, that loads. And the Favicon fit. There's an error. Okay, that's no biggie. I wonder if this takes a while because it's got to run like a compaction job on Kinesis. Wow, dark mode. Oh, I don't even have to pay extra for this? This is great. Cool. Okay, did this create anything else? We had 4. I don't think it creates a new record, right? No, it does. 2 more because it's got demo dot. Yeah. It's just an A record. Okay, that's built in. That's pretty sweet. Maybe I didn't do this right. Because I don't have anything hosted on this domain besides this dashboard. And I wonder if that is... Oh, you know what? I bet you I can also check S3. Because this gets written to S3, right? Here we go. Analytics. Athena. Oh, this is a results. Oh, wow. There's a bunch of stuff in here already. It's creating these tiny files, and then it's going to compact them over the course of the day. That's pretty cool. I've been trying to learn Rust. I wouldn't say it's been going well, but I've been using this this mini LSM project. If you haven't seen this or you haven't built an LSM before, a log structured merge tree is it's the engine for Spotted Public. Yeah, the public bucket is, I think, where the assets go for this page. We can look. An LSM tree is used by a number of like open source database as a service applications, as well as like open source tools like RocksDB for high performance key value storage. And it's really cool. It's a data structure that will allow you to write or update data really quickly. Each of these are actually immutable. So then if you say you like write a key foo equals bar and then foo equals baz, you will then through the magic of compaction just kind of delete the bar eventually. So you have this in-memory sorted string table, and after a certain point that fills up and you write it to disk. At that point it becomes immutable, and you're writing this log so the process can restart. And then you have this asynchronous process that goes through each level and it compacts them to a smaller level, right? So you take all of the writes, maybe you have, one key that was written 500 times in memory, and then you're going to like compact that down to kind of one change, what is the current state, and so on and so forth. And that way at query time, you can go from in memory to like down the levels to get the data you need. So it's really good for time series data, and it's really, really good for high volume reads and writes for key value data. And I'm sure I could have explained that a lot better. I wasn't really prepared to talk about it. But I've been kind of running through this project to try to learn Rust. But the hardest part is that this is using all of the parts of Rust that I'm unfamiliar with, like lifetimes and borrowing. So that is taking me a while to grok. But it's cool. Very cool project. I'll post that in chat if you haven't seen it. Okay, so the beacon works. Is this ever going to load? Are we going to get data? Is it? Oh, this is our only site. That's kind of cool though. I don't know why my little event isn't working, because it did load. I mean, I guess we could create like a little view app and try it out. I don't know how fast I could get that up in my domain though, because I want it to be on the same domain. Otherwise, I think cores will kill me. Hey. Rahan, is Rahan correct or is it Rehan? I don't think I've ever met you. I've only talked with you on DMs. This is an awesome project. You told me about this like months ago and I never got to set it up. I'm super stoked. Thank you for doing this. This is so cool. Having a lot of fun. Property called Firehose Buffer Interval. Oh yeah, that makes sense. 15-minute view. Okay. We should do a live view. If you haven't met Rahan, Rahan's also an AWS hero. And I was asking him about this project on LinkedIn a while ago. And I'd like always meant to work on it, and I didn't have a free day until now, so I'm super stoked. This set up so well. It was awesome. I just dropped it in and deployed it. It was great. My personal blog is on GitHub Pages, and it's a different domain, so I could either take a subdomain and host it in Route 53, and then add a cert for it for the beacon or the JavaScript snippet. Or I could move my personal website to AWS. Is there an easy way to host? It's like a Jekyll. I think it's Jekyll, right? Yeah. It's a Jekyll blog. Oh no, I have a PR open. Oh. Nokogiri. How have I not outrun Nokogiri in my life? Sorry, I'm bad at streaming. I should be sticking to one thing at once. Anyway, I'll come back in 15 minutes and check because we just got the beacon to load. That's super cool. You've thought of a lot of really awesome stuff here. This is so cool. But now I have to actually put stuff into this personal AWS account of mine and stop hosting my projects elsewhere so I can actually use this. And light mode and dark mode, I mean, okay, warning. Light mode warning, everybody. Close your eyes. Wow, look at that. Could be the Apple homepage. That's great. This is super cool. I did also, this guide was helpful that was in your README, just because I don't use the CDK that much. So importing the various lib projects. I'm still not sure why you need your website to be the parent domain. Okay, so I want my website to be the parent domain because I want the, I want third-party ad blockers to allow that JavaScript to render. So the problem right now is on my website, I'm using Google Analytics, and a lot of people end up blocking it, right? Because it's on this domain, and then it gets blocked by like ad block. I guess, well, mine's, yeah, here, see. So I've allowed it here, but that's why. So all of these, like these 29,000 people that are on my website are all from, like, these are only people with ad block disabled. And my understanding is that if I hosted your serverless website analytics on the same domain as my blog or all my other applications, it'll load it like it's native JavaScript, or it'll load it like it's same origin. So it's not like a third-party cookie. Does that make sense, or is my understanding incorrect on these front-end concepts? Yeah, I've seen the demo. I showed the demo off when we started the stream. You don't think they're considered same origin? Even if they're from the same domain, is the subdomain matters too? Oh, 4 hits from your blog. Oh, start out, yeah. Well, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't have to be on, I could put it on the same site even, right? Like I could host that JavaScript and have it talk to the same, like it would just be like api.aaronsteigenberg.com. That would be fine. And you have, I mean, you're always going to make cross origin requests anyway. Like that's something we can handle with cores. That's not the problem I'm worried about. I'm worried about cookies being blocked because they're different. They're like third-party domains. Cambodia, Canada, and 875,000 people in the US. So 2 people from. I'm probably misunderstanding this, Regilius. This isn't a traditionally part of the work that I've done, so I'm probably wrong here. Have I not started this? I must have started this. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Boom, 142. Start this project if you haven't. Drop it here. This is great. Yeah, so I just want to move this over. I'm sick of Google Analytics, and GA4 is kind of garbage. This has not been, I mean, like, it's nice to see it, and it's great that it all plugs in automatically, but I think I can probably get what I need from this. And this is super cool. Has it been 15 minutes? Oh, maybe not yet. I want to look into the bucket. Is it in the CSV? How come you got so many views from Poland? I got so many views from Poland because there's this like fake web scraping refer scam that goes on. I don't understand it, but it's a thing. It's yeah, this thing. I don't know. I have to filter it out. Client-side metrics emitter. I think it has a client-side JS snippet. I don't know what it all emits. I think it just emits an event and... Oh, so I'm using navigator.sendBeacon, which is blocked. Okay, that makes sense. So I didn't know this. My assumption was based on like strictly that you're doing like a post request to the API, you know? So like I'd assumed you're just doing a post here. But if you're using that browser API for send beacon, I'm sure that's probably blocked. So that might be why it's not. Maybe this is why, right? Maybe. So yeah, I guess basically. Oh, thank you. Thanks for the link. Yeah, Regalius. Okay, exactly. So that's my understanding too, is if you're on a.com and you request to a subdomain of like api.a.com, ad blockers can't block it because everybody has, like virtually everybody has their hosted site on their main domain and then has like api dot or, you know, your URL slash API slash whatever. What framework does the site use? Rahan's in chat. He can probably tell you. We can also click through this and figure it out. He mentioned Vue. I don't know if it's actually Vue. Yeah, it looks like it's Vue. Bum, bum, bum. Application. Source front end. Yeah, it's Vue. Vue project. This is cool. This is super cool, man. I love this. The other thing I want to do, so Melky is streaming now, but yesterday he taught me about Cool Labs IO, which is like self-hostable, you know, front-end Jamstack platform. And you kind of just like bring up a server and then curl bash. And you can stand up this like, where's a screenshot of it? I don't know. You can stand up this application that will just host like front-end JS applications. And it'll run on like a Raspberry Pi. It'll run on anything, which I think is pretty neat. Seems like something fun to play with. Wow, look at that start linear. This is sweet. Okay, so I wonder if we're gonna have some information now. No, actually, it's not been 15 minutes since I did the event. Okay, so to sum it up, we're using send beacon. My ad blocker is blocking it. But Rehan, you're gonna contribute this to, or move this to be just a post request. So that was my thought. Was like, I guess I didn't realize you're. Oh wow, yeah. So you can like comment this out and use the fetch instead of the, instead of send beacon, and then as long as it's on the same domain as my website, it shouldn't get blocked. And that's all I care about, right? Like I just care about an actual number. I should have read this code. I don't know why. I just went straight to trying it out and playing with it instead of reading this. But this is great. Cool. So you get some page metadata. Yeah, see, this is sweet. Okay, so that's the problem, is that I was using my ad blocker was probably blocking send beacon. I didn't know any of this. I need to learn more about the front end again. It's been so long since I did anything here. Okay, so the next project I should probably do is migrate my blog to AWS, because right now it's on GitHub Pages. So we want to, what's the best way to do that? It creates static HTML. We can drop that into an S3 bucket and route it behind Route 53. That's probably fine. I don't want to lose any of my the search engine shit. I didn't think about that at all. All right, I'll have to think about that for next time, because I think I don't think it matters if the IP address changes as long as I have the same page structure. Google Search Console should still, or Google Search Crawler should still index everything the same. So I have to keep the same page structure as GitHub pages when I move it over. Remake my website in Amped. Hackinsoul, I would have to actually learn CSS, which is going to be a main blocker for me. So much of my life now is Go, and I'm not sure I'm qualified to actually learn CSS. You can, I mean, like I said, all of my, for better or for worse, almost everything I do is open source, even for my day job. But it's this giant monstrosity of CSS and SCSS, and I don't know if I can move it over. Maybe I rebuild it from. Maybe the answer is like I build it from scratch, right? Like I don't, or not scratch, but I find some other. I mean, this is like a 6-year-old, 7-year-old blog. You can tell I'm a backend engineer or like a library engineer because I haven't rebuilt my blog in 6 years. So I would use Hugo. Hugo's great. If you haven't used Hugo, I think this is just fine. At the time I used Jekyll because I don't think Hugo was a thing then. But it's a static site generator. Written in Go. I mean, I could just grab a theme and go from there. That's fine. The deploying to AWS part, I think, is the interesting thing. So, like, obviously, you could always do Netlify, or you could do, but I guess I really want to run it on AWS anyway. I'd rather just because I know more of the infra stuff, and then I can hook it up to more interesting things. You know who I really got to talk to about this is actually, there's a few people I should talk to about this. Because I want to be able to hook this up to other infrastructure pieces, right? Like I want to be able to, not just the serverless web analytics project, but I want to be able to hook this up to other parts that I have in the AWS account, like the serverless cold start stuff that Max has done. If you haven't seen, Lambda Perf, which I guess he hosts all this in Dynamo and then has like some sort of, so it's hosted on GitHub Pages, and then he just requests it out. Oh, so he's got this build. Oh no, this is all. Oh, he did this on Rust. So it might just like ship it to S3, and then he's got like a little CSS and a JS and an HTML that just pulls it in. Yeah, app.js. Oh no, this is a backend app. This is pushing data to GitHub. He's storing data in GitHub. There it is. Yeah, each genius. Why do anything? Like why use Dynamo, guys, when you could just push JSON files to GitHub? This is big brain stuff. Where's the website hosted? He's got GitHub Pages hooked up to this. Where's the HTML? Oh, it's under docs. Okay, so he's just got like a, which I guess I could just do this in S3. This is great. Well, I'm sad I didn't get this to show up yet, but I'm sure that's my own fault ad blocking it. But I'm glad I got this thing deployed. This is awesome. Well, I think this is probably where I'm going to have to end it today. But I really appreciate the few folks who are hanging around, and it was great seeing everybody. I'll try and do this more often. We're going to go jump over into Melky's chat here. It seems like a few folks are jumping over. as usual, feel free to DM me with any questions or comments. And Rahan, thanks again for jumping in. Regalia, it's great to see you. And we'll catch you in the next one. Otherwise, I'll see you on Twitter. Take care, folks.